Very good morning. Namaskar. My name is Amitabh Jha. I work with BHEL, India's leading engineering and manufacturing organization. On this theme of TEDx today, my talk will be on innovators, the path breakers. And what I'm going to share with you is broadly in three different scenarios: organizational perspective, individual insight, and towards end of my talk, I would like to share with the house a model called P-Cube model to ignite and to accelerate the path breakers inside us. So as I was getting ready for this talk, I had a look at TED's site yesterday. And what I found was the tagline. The tagline says, "Ideas change everything." And I remember some time back, the tagline used to be, "Ideas worth spreading." So everything else has changed, but the word ideas remain there. Isn't that interesting? And when we look at the term ideas, some of the words which come in front of us are imagination, intuition, invention, reimagination, improvisation, and all sorts of things. What is the key point here? The key point is, when we talk about idea, how do we create impact, and how someone, an individual or an institution, creates a new path. So the talk is going to be on that theme, which is our theme, in fact, today, reimagining the impossible. Some time back, in my organization, we did a massive intervention called Project 3C. Connect, collaborate, create. The idea was to reach out to each employee of the company, share with them organizational concern, listen to them, capture their ideas, and convert those ideas into projects. So we had 50 plus colleagues who were core team members, and then thousands of engaged teams. And this intervention actually led us to copyright. So what happened is that in this entire journey, some 9 points, 9 jewels, Navratnas came in front of us. What you see here on the board. And so sharing of the vision, creating a sense of urgency, listening to people, listening to different voices, providing a kind of direction and optimism in people, communicating to them in an engaging way, celebrating success, and it was at the heart and soul of Project 3C, a massive success. Now, when I'm looking at the intervention, what happened, and I started talking to people who were part of this initiative, who scripted success stories. And also, when I was listening to last 3-4 speakers here at PIET, I found my interaction there and my experience here at PIET exactly communicating what my research found. So for someone to be really path breaker, for someone to be an innovator, the foundational belief is very important. And this foundational belief is actually on 2 important pillars. Pillar number 1, how do I improve myself? My skill, my competency, my thought process, my attitude, how I'm looking at my own life. And pillar number 2, how do I improve or impact the life of others? So for someone to be really a path breaker, one of these 2 pillars, in fact, I believe both these pillars are extremely important. So in these 2 pillars, essentially the pillar number 1 talks about concern for self, and pillar number 2 talks about concern for others. How do I look at the term concern here? It's very important to understand. The term concern is not about a bystander's wishful thinking. It is not about being a passive guy. This concern is about a committed person's intensely involved journey. So in that action, in that intensely involved action comes excellence, reimagination, our theme here, thinking outside the box, questioning, challenging. And from this concern comes making of a path breaker. In my workshops on design thinking and innovation, when I ask the audience, typically these three persons' name come, that these are the path breakers. Of course, they are path breakers, Einstein, Edison, and Musk, Elon Musk. No doubt about it. My basic contention is innovation is not just for Einsteins, Edisons, and Elon Musk. It is not limited to any industry, any technology. And I truly believe that innovation is everyone's birthright. Those who are watching this talk here and those who are watching this talk online. Before going further, let's look at some myths and realities, some very popular myths, in fact. Three topmost myths on this topic. And in the inaugural, some of our speakers were talking about it, mentioning about it. Myth number one. So they are born with supernatural talent, sort of gifted genius. The reality is, these people actually work very hard. There is nothing called, being gifted genius kind of thing. They are hardworking, disciplined, focused people. Myth number two, innovation requires huge resources, big budgets. In fact, more than resources and budget, reimagination is the key. And how do I create that spark? That spark can come from one question, one comment, one criticism, one idea here, one criticism there. And myth number three, innovators work alone. In fact, innovators are great collaborators. Yes, it's quite true. They are selective about the kind of people they have, the kind of people they choose in their teams, but they are great collaborators. So these path breakers, these innovators, they can be in any domain. So when I look at the domain, let's look at this pic here. 1968 Montreal Olympics. And every high jumper till that time who used to come for high jump used to stand, put his feet in front of the bar, and do the high jump like this, face down. And in 1968 Olympics, for the first time, a lanky young man from America came, Dick Fosbury. And he did something bizarre. Audience, spectators, they were stunned. Coaches were confused. Commentators did not know how to react. So this young man came, put his feet, and before jumping, he turned his entire body and jumped backward. In fact, one journalist wrote that here is a high jumper who doesn't know how to jump. And he's doing wrong high jump. In fact, this wrong high jump of Dick Fosbury won him Olympic gold medal. Story doesn't end here, friends. In fact, in the next years to come, every high jumper was doing what is seen here, known as Fosbury flop, creating a new path for everyone. So when we stop competing on dimensions of others, we start creating our own dimension. So let me share with you few path breakers from India and some very, very famous, popular people. I'm sure you will know each one of them. Gandhiji. So people say he was born on 2nd October 1869. I think actually Mahatma Gandhi was born on 7th June 1893, on that cold night when he was thrown on the platform in South Africa. And a new person was born. And this new person came with a new coin in the world of politics. And the coin was Satyagraha, non-violence, and non-violence against a mighty British Empire. And the talk of morality and ethics. Vikram Sarabhai, real-time institution builder. So we look at Vikram Sarabhai not just someone who created ISRO, but 10 plus institutions. M.S. Swaminathan, he was getting ready for his IPS, but 1943 Bengal famine. And when he looked at starvation and suffering, he thought IPS journey is not that important. I need to do something for people. Medha Patkar, who was doing her study in Narmada Valley, and then she saw some people who were suffering, displaced people, tribal, women, children. And more than academics, activism came in her life. And the kind of issue of sustainability, which used to be the issue of environment, which used to be on page 3, page 4, she brought in the editorial page. And it became something very important. Mother Teresa, and we know her journey, the kind of work she has done for poor, people who were helpless, people who were suffering from leprosy. This gentleman, how many of you know his name? So S.D. Burman, the pillar of, Hindi film music, the golden era of Hindi film music, and he was born, you will be shocked to know, in a royal family in Tripura. So the luxury and comfort, they were waiting for him. But he chose tune, not title. He chose raga, not richness. In each of these journeys, friends, if you connect the dot, you find something very interesting and very inspiring. You will find 5, 6 important pointers. First thing, being comfortable with the uncomfortable question and being uncomfortable with the existing condition. So when I'm uncomfortable with the existing condition, I am not in a mode of complacency. I'm not in a comfort zone. Second, high on problem sensitivity and problem defining. What I'm observing things around me and how I am defining, reframing, rather reimagining my issues and my challenges. Point number 3, all of these people, and I'm sure you will have some more persons in your mind, they are not passive people. They are intensely involved persons. Point number 4, each one of them and each of the pathbreaker, they are grounded in their day-to-day work, but at the same time, they are driven by a very powerful mission in their life. And the last, very important, and we are in an educational institution here, each one of them, they are open to multiple perspectives and a powerful lifelong learning mission. What they do, what actually they bring on table, what pathbreakers actually do. So when we look at the action part, you will notice 3 very clear-cut distinct things. They question default setting. Why something is being done like this? Why it is not being challenged? Second, they marry imagination and action. They are not just dreamers. They are doers. And third, they align inner mastery with outer impact. This sync, this balance between inner and outer is very deep, very rich, very profound. And this journey is happening all the time. So, towards end, as I shared in the beginning, I would like to share with the house a model, a framework, which can actually help us in reigniting our own, path-breaking journey. Or if it is already there, further accelerating. I call it P-Cube model. So P-Cube model is about attitude. And if these 3 attitudes, we can really learn about it, think about it, and deep down start taking action about it, something magical is going to happen. So P-Cube is about perception, purpose, and perseverance. Perception is about our comfort and discomfort. What and how I'm looking at my comfort and discomfort. For S.D. Burman, life was full of comfort and luxury. Born in a royal family. But that comfort was actually discomforting. Discomfort, being thrown on a railway platform in a cold, dark night, despite having valid ticket, is actually very discomforting, humiliating. But how I am actually perceiving that scenario. So perception is important. Any event can happen in my life, but how do I perceive that? Second, and I think the real meta skill today is ability to stay calm in chaos. That's about clarity of thought. That's about purpose. What is the purpose which drives me? Second P. And the third P is about perseverance. Things will be tough. Someone will criticize me. Someone will challenge me. There'll be moments when I will get confused. But can I stay disciplined? Can I stay focused? Can this power of perseverance drive my journey? So perception, purpose, and perseverance. Friends, in the beginning, I talked about these two pillars. How do I improve myself, and how do I impact the life of others? And I find every path breaker, in fact, the storytellers who have come here, they are actually believing in that, they are taking action in that. But as I end my talk, I would like to share one additional point, and I call it foundational belief plus. And that last point is fall in love with what you do. Because when we fall in love with what we do, actually the flow happens. Actually the joy comes. The creativity, the reimagination, the innovation, it comes on its own. The passion comes on its own. So fall in love, stay in love with what you do. Thank you very much.